Check our brake linings, make sure more than 1/4 inch per CVSA. Some brake manufacturers, when they manufacture the lining, this area right here, it's right at 1/4 inch. So whenever your lining gets to here, obviously they do need replacing. Drums are in good shape. Don't see any cracks. This right here is what we call a chamber mate. I was getting the outside diameter of the chamber. These pins just line up against it, and this is a type 24. There's a couple different ways to tell the type. On the left side it says type 24. On the right side it's showing it's a 3-inch stroke. When we get the type, then we'll go back and we'll mark the push rod where it exits the chamber. Then once everything is marked, I'll get the driver to press and hold the brakes, and then we'll go back and collect the measurements. A type 30 regular is allowed 2 inches, no more than 2 inches. On a long stroke, type 30, it's 2.5 inches. So if you get beyond that 2 or 2.5, then you get into a violation of that brake being out of adjustment. You have clevis pins, cotter pins, which attaches the brake chamber. You got your push rod. Here's your slack adjuster. So if this is missing the clevis pin, I mean, if the push rod drops down, it's probably going to bypass the slack adjuster, so then you would not have a working brake. Spring's good. Airbag is inflated. I don't hear any leaks. Brake linings look good. Matter of fact, they are, looks like they've just been replaced. As you can see, this is going to be a fairly new brake. You can see the thickness of the material versus this one over here. And then just remember, this part right here is going to be basically your quarter. It's right at 1/4 inch. These are just heat marks. Those are normal. It's not really a crack, it's just from the heat. Biggest thing that we look for on airlines, or that we see, is going to be chafing. Occasionally these looms, they over years and the elements of the weather, they will break, get brittle and break. Then you'll end up with an airline that's touching. When you start seeing below this rubber, there's going to be a nylon thread cord that's braided through. When you get into that, it can lead up to an out of service condition. This right here is your actual S-cam, where the tip of the pin is. On the end of the brake lining, it's got rollers. So whenever that cam turns, it spreads the shoes apart, which in return gives you the friction, which stops you. So we'll get them to press and hold, and we'll see what happens. Hey driver, press and hold. Yes, brakes. Right. And now that his brakes are applied, we want to listen for any air leaks, and then we'll get our measurements. 1 3/4. Okay, release. Yep, steering, suspension, brakes, everything looks good. Everything has got long strokes, so all brakes are within adjustments. Yeah, we're gonna do, take your glad hands off both sides. Just watch your eyes on that red one. You just lay them down. When you remove the emergency side, I said the brakes were released just like he's going down the road. So this supplies air to your trailer brakes, which releases your parking brake. So whenever he released this, now he lost all the air, so the parking brakes come on. So you initially heard that loud, that was your parking brakes engaging. Now you heard all the air come out. If you look at his air gauge, he's probably going to be 40 to 60 pounds of air on it. And then the next pop was tractor protection valve. That closes that circuit off so you don't lose any more air out of this side. Now, driver, I need you to just reach in there by hand and just push your brake pedal. Now we're going to listen for the service side. Want to make sure we don't have no air coming out of the service side. Okay, that's good. And so there's no air. That tells me that the tractor protection valve is working like it's supposed to. We disconnected the pigtail. This trailer's got an ABS light, so we'll check the ABS light. All right, you can go ahead and reconnect. Okay, go ahead. Comes on, it went off, it went through its bulb check. So ABS did its little scan, so it's working properly. Go ahead and pump your brakes a couple more times. Okay, that's good. Now our low air light has now come on. The low air buzzer is now activated. And also the gauges were moving when he was pumping the brakes, so air brake system is working like it should. When we do the inspection, we need the air pressure around 100 PSI, but that gives you the optimal braking performance. Got it. Cotter pins, clevis pins are all in place. Brake chambers secured. Air lines in good shape. This wire right here is your ABS wire that goes down to your cone wheel. And that's how the computer determines how fast this wheel's going versus that wheel. But everything looks good over here. This particular truck has backing plates on the back side, so it's kind of hard to see what's inside there. You do have inspection holes. Matter of fact, there's one right here where my finger's at. And you can look through there and look at the lining thickness. So here's your inspection hole, and you can actually see the lining. All right, so we got a small air leak on this line. Hit your brakes. All right, you hear that air leak? So this chamber here would have a busted diaphragm on the inside of it.
A truck like this, is this pretty typical where most of the things are in spec, everything's looking good?
Most of the time they are. I mean, if you've got a good company that keeps up on maintenance, yes. Occasionally you will find a brake that is out of adjustment.